The Oklahoma City Thunder are NBA champions in 2025, and their win marks the end of the 2024-25 season, and fans are already looking forward to what's next in the NBA picture. But with that going on, it's hard to ignore the elephant in the room, which is the fact that the NBA is not growing as much as it was in the mid to late 2010s. Ultimately, the one big problem for the league is that people just don't find it as interesting as it was back then. But there is a way to fix this problem. Let's go through my guide for fixing the NBA's biggest issue. When you look at the one big issue, there are several reasons for this and little problems that come about, with the list really going down here 1 through 10 for me as really the top 10 reasons that the league hasn't had as much success in recent years, which I would say number one is injuries and players missing bigger games. The season's a little too long. The regular season doesn't really have the hype anymore. I also think there's too many rounds and games in the playoffs and too many teams get in, or there's too big of a postseason, and there doesn't seem to be enough stars that are active in the game. Plus, the players in the draft, people really don't know them. There's no dynasty, no GOAT player in the spotlight. In college basketball, that pipeline is damaged with the G League, and everybody plays too similar because of the expansion of analytics, and so you've got too much three-point shooting, and we need to find a way to get back to more American stars. All these problems kind of jumbled into one lead to a lack of interest, but there's ways to fix all of these problems. First thing we need to do is reduce the regular season schedule by 20 games, and this allows for stars not only to play in more games that matter, but also they can stay healthy and on the court. You know, right now we've got an 82 game schedule. A lot of players are getting dinged up. Now, part of the problem is, yes, you've got a situation where some guys are just missing time just because, and they're sitting out, and people have talked about that too being an issue. But what we've seen, and especially with Tyrese Halliburton's injury, spotlighting this in the NBA Finals, is guys, you know, just with the wear and tear of the game, the running around, how much they've had to play growing up, all that stuff, it's really wearing down on them, and guys are getting injured, and so we need to find a way to basically reduce their time on the court. And I think a big way to do that is get rid of the more of the games that don't matter, which is the regular season games. You can cut that schedule a little bit, and I think it would allow for stars to stay healthy and on the court. Now, is that going to have plenty of issues involved with it? Yes, there's going to be a revenue cut, you would think, and also secondly, you're going to have to find a way to negotiate this with the players and the owners, and I think a lot of people are going to have a problem with the money aspect of things. But again, if we want to get that interest back, this is a great way to go. Next thing we need to do is reduce that postseason size. Guys, we all know there's too many games in the playoffs. I saw this pointed out by Colin Cowherd recently. It's like, you know, he was just recapping the NBA playoffs, and he had to remind me, I mean, the thing's been going on basically since late April. I mean, it really is a very, very long postseason that takes 2 months. So we need to cut down the first round of the postseason to 3 games. I would cut down the second round to 5 games, and then the conference finals and NBA finals should stay at 7. And that would be a great way to get a little more urgency early in the postseason, make things a little bit harder, not water it down as much, especially between those higher seeds and the lower seeds that go in a matchup and you kind of know who's going to win. I think this would add more urgency and make things a little bit more interesting early in the postseason. And we can also get rid of the play-in tournament, and can we please just allow seriously 6 teams to make the postseason per conference? The best 2 records there get a bye in the first round. Now, I know this sounds a little bit crazy. Forever we've had a lot of NBA teams in the postseason, but part of the reason the regular season doesn't matter is because it's kind of impossible not to make the playoffs. I mean, you have the play-in now. You've had, even without the play-in, a big postseason field for a long time, and it just feels like the league is giving you so many chances to make it in. You can make the regular season matter. People would be more interested in watching the big games, the marquee matchups, if you got rid of, you know, some of the chances to get into the postseason, because guys wouldn't want to miss time and just sit out to wait until the postseason comes where they have to be on their A game. Next up, can we please embrace college basketball again and let the G League exist, but not necessarily as a substitute to the college game? Now, fortunately, I think with the NIL expansion and the money going back to college, we are starting to see this happen again. It does feel like there's some guys that are coming even from overseas to come play college basketball because there's a good amount of money. And then also, secondly, because of that expansion of the NIL, guys are staying back in college another year and staying with the programs there to kind of develop and also get their money rather than go kind of sit on an NBA bench. So this would be a good idea basically to also help guys develop. Basically what this is going to do, as opposed to the G League, is it's going to put players in the spotlight. They're going to be able to grow their brand there in college. We know people on Duke a little bit more than we do on G League teams. We know people with North Carolina, the NCAA tournament, the Sweet 16. You get the picture. We don't know as much about the G League, so I wouldn't have that as a substitute right now, and just from what we've seen, it's been very hard to get fans to embrace that as a minor league or kind of like a college football to the NFL. It's just not on that level. Stick with the background of college basketball and what it's meant and get that game back up and juiced up again, and it's going to help the NBA in the long run. Next thing is, I think we need to see if there's ways to get more American basketball stars in front of people, and this is probably the hardest thing to figure out for me, but I feel like in recent years, the league has been very international, which is great, and I'm not saying you can't have that, international flavor with a lot of your stars. I mean, we've seen baseball get more popular than it's been in several years, led by Shohei Ohtani, but right now, in the American picture, I think it gets a little bit harder to back guys or back the league when some of the players are all overseas and you don't have, that fixture to the players you normally would, and I think that's why we've seen a lot of people navigate to Anthony Edwards, for example, as the quote-unquote face of the league. I think the reason for that is definitely because Anthony Edwards is an American basketball player, whereas, some of the other guys like Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and those names and stuff, they've probably dominated, you would say maybe even more so than Edwards, having won rings right now, but the fact that they are born outside of America does have a little bit of an impact when you consider the NBA is mostly based in America, so there's kind of some issues there. Next thing, I think it's seriously time we just make a controversial change to the three-point attempts and see if you can change the court or something to change the analytical approach. Look, guys, we're seeing too many three-pointers in the league now, and it was at a point exciting when the Golden State was doing it because nobody else could do it to their level, but now it's like everybody's trying to actually we thought Golden State was doing it years ago. Now everyone is taking it beyond there and just doing it, whether it's really even panning out. So everybody kind of plays the same. They have that just a ton of three-point attempts, and it ends up, by the way, too, a lot of blowouts because some teams shoot well on one night and the other team, can't hit the broadside of a barn, so it just ends up in a weird game, in a weird chemistry on the court. So what I would do is maybe take away, for example, the corner three-point. I've heard a lot of people mention this. I think this would be good. You would change the game. It's a little radical. Yes, it is a little radical, but then again, I mean, you have to do something here. And when you look back in leagues past, it's already like, and this is where it's going to get tough. People are worried about the stats changing, kind of how the game is played. You're a little bit conservative on that end, but I mean, leagues change all the time, like baseball changed the height of the mound a lot. Football used to have the freaking goalpost at the front of the end zone. I mean, there's wonky stuff in the past. I think this would be a wonky move, but it would really help the game in the long run. And let's look at baseball again, too, with the pitch clock. They did that, and they banned the shift, and I think the game's gotten a lot of juice because of it. If you get rid of that three-point and make the dunk a little viable again, move the offenses back towards the basket, it might make the league more interesting in that respective and not feel like everybody's kind of playing the same. And lastly, I think we really need to take a look here and just maybe don't change the rules to make team building quote-unquote fair. I don't think this drives any interest in people. They like to hate when there's one team that's doing rather well, like in the Golden State dynasty and the Chicago Bulls dynasty, and they complain about how unfair it is, but then they always watch and it's always super interesting and easy to follow. And let me be very clear, I do appreciate some of the X's and O's to the game and stuff like that. Like what OKC has done, the way they've played the game to win a championship has been rather impressive. Same with the Indiana Pacers, what they've put together with guys that, kind of came out and developed and really learned how to play the game with the team, all that kind of stuff. It's so great. But at the end of the day, it's not as easy to follow as a dynasty and just putting together a few stars that are household names that people know. That's easy to follow a dynasty. It's easy to follow big names. When you look at a lot of the other leagues, like with the NFL, and you've got your quarterbacks and stuff, people attach to that. They attach to the names, the star players, and when you get those on one team that dominates the league and you get a common villain in the NBA, that's when it's really awesome to watch. And just remember, people were complaining about, it's Cavs Warriors every single year, and people kept on watching because it was interesting to see LeBron, who's one of the greater players of all time, Kyrie Irving, the crew in Cleveland, try to go be the underdog each time against the Golden State Warriors and everything they had put together, and to see if they could basically, be the better dynasty other than the Chicago Bulls and the Los Angeles Lakers, those great teams in history. It was very entertaining to watch, and it was a moment we can all look back on and feel like that was great for the league. So I think any chances, any rules, any things that can actually help the league get back to having a dynasty in the sport is going to make it interesting in the long run. So those are my ideas for fixing the main issue we're seeing with the NBA. I think if we implement these things, it's going to be be a lot more interesting. Again, I'm a big basketball fan, so I'd like to see these things happen, and I think we'd also get a great league as a result. But let me know in the comments below what you think about the NBA situation and what you think the league needs to do. Be sure to check out the social media accounts I have on screen as well. Thanks for watching. Hope you tune in to the next video that will be out soon.